Welcome to the Sierra Chart Training video tutorial. I've broken down this tutorial into multiple modules, beginning with getting started, covering all the basics, signing up, downloading, and installing. We'll then move on to charts and chart books. Then we'll take a look at studies, otherwise known as indicators. Then I'm going to cover trading execution to submit and modify orders in Sierra Chart. Then we'll wrap it up by covering some other important features and settings. This tutorial should have you comfortably ready to set up your Sierra Chart and execute trades. The first module is getting started. To begin, open up your web browser, type in sierrachart.com. When we're on the website, we're going to go to the very right-hand side and hit Create Account. Type in your email address and then click Proceed. Fill in the different information required to create your account and then click the checkbox to agree to the agreement. After we've made an account, the first thing I'm going to do is deposit some money so that I can activate some services. From the Sierra Chart website, hover your mouse on Account Management and click Make a Payment. We can specify the amount in USD to deposit. Then click Make a Payment and follow the steps to check out. After you've made a payment, you'll receive an email receipt. Head back to the website and hover your mouse over Account Management and click Activate Services. The first service is going to be the charting package. I prefer 11 or 12 as these contain more features such as market depth, MBO, and footprint. Select a service and then click Update and Renew. Click these links to agree to agreements and activate the specific services that you want. For active futures traders, consider Denali Exchange Data Feed. Sign the agreements, click Activate. If we scroll down, there are a number of options depending on if you are a professional, non-professional, you want depth, and which exchanges. When you find the correct exchange, click Activate and follow the steps. Now that we've made our account, activated some services, and added a balance, we're going to go ahead and download Sierra Chart. Hover Getting Started from the main website and hit Software Download. I'm going to hit Download Sierra Chart 64-bit. Once you open that newly downloaded file, it should bring up the Sierra Chart installer. The default path is in the C drive, Sierra Chart. For those who have latency sensitive strategies, they may want to consider downloading Sierra Chart to its very own SSD drive, as opposed to sharing with all your personal files. I'm going to go ahead and hit Install. Hit OK and close the install window. Enter your Sierra Chart account name and password and hit Login. When you open up Sierra Chart for the first time, it will typically load the example chart book. At the top of the Sierra Chart platform, you'll notice there's a menu. I'll be calling this the SC menu. A number of settings and windows can be opened from the SC menu. Just below that is the control bar. The status bar in the left side of the control bar is green, indicating we're connected to a data feed. Also in the control bar are a number of buttons such as Close Chartbook, Save Chartbook, or we can change the time frame of the selected chart. Below the control bar, we can see the Open Chartbooks. Currently, we just have the example chartbook opened. A chartbook is a workspace full of graphs. We'll explore this in the next module. At the very bottom of the window, we can see all of our open charts, which can be selected. First thing we're going to do is close the example chartbook by clicking Close Chartbook on the control bar. On the SC menu, you'll see Global Settings. Click that. There are a number of important settings under this menu. Click Data Trade Service Settings. At the top of the window, click Main Settings. The first setting has a drop-down list we can expand. From this list, you'll have to choose a data or trade service. Some of these require a username and password. You can type your username and password and click OK. Select the data that you activated earlier, such as Teton or SC data for Sierra Chart data. Click Apply. We can see the status bar is green, indicating we're connected. You'll have to spend some time going through some of these SC menu items. Many of the key settings can be found in global settings, such as General, Graphics, General Trade Settings, Chart DOM settings, and a number of other settings can be found in this menu. We'll be covering some of them throughout the tutorial. If you click General Settings, you'll notice that most windows have more than one menu at the top, which you can switch between them for different settings. For example, under Paths, we can see that our data folder is located in the C drive. In the General menu, I'm going to change the files that open on startup by clicking Select Files. You can see that the example chartbook opens automatically every time we open Sierra Chart. I'm going to go ahead and click this and click Remove. Once we build other chartbooks, we could go ahead and add them to be opened up automatically on startup if we want. Click OK. Click OK again. Now that we've taken care of the setup, we're going to get into chartbooks and charts. A chart is simply a graph of data. Charts make up a workspace which is called a chartbook. Chartbooks are files that are saved in the data folder of Sierra Chart. In this module, we'll be setting up our first workspace. Before we begin, let's get familiarized with the data folder. By default, Sierra Chart is downloaded to the C drive, but locate the location where you downloaded it using the Windows File Explorer. Go ahead and click Sierra Chart. All chartbooks and other data files will be saved here. If somebody sends you a chartbook as a CHT file, you must drag it to the data folder in order to use it. Also, while we're here, take note that the Sierra4.config file is a location where all settings are stored for your Sierra Chart. This file can freely be shared and contains no personal data. Same with chartbooks. Let's begin by opening up a new chart. I'm going to head on over to the control bar and hit Find Symbol. Alternatively, it can be found in the SC menu, File, Find Symbol. Here, there'll be a list of symbols available depending on your data package. I'm going to locate the E-mini S&P 500 futures contract, expand, and I'll choose the correct month. Head down to Open Intraday Chart. Here we can see the chart successfully loaded into the workspace. I'm going to head to the top right corner and restore it down to a smaller size. Now, I'll quickly duplicate the chart so we can have multiple charts. In the top left corner, click, head down to Duplicate Chart. Now we have two charts. These charts are both attached to this window of the main Seer chart copy that's running. However, if I click to select the chart, head on over to the SC menu window, I can detach the chart window, and this can now be dragged to a different monitor or location. Seer chart recommends executing trades from a chart that's attached to the main workspace as opposed to detached charts. I'm going to go ahead and attach this chart back to the workspace. Window, attach chart window. Now let's add a trading DOM. I'll head back over to Find Symbol on the control bar. We already have ES selected, but you can select any contract here. And I'm going to hit Open Trading DOM. This DOM is detached. I'm going to head on over to Window, Attach Chart Window. Let's get these charts aligned properly. To do so, I'm going to head on over to the SC menu, hit Window, Tile Vertically. That's better. We've now added two charts and a DOM to our workspace. Now would be a good time to save our workspace. On the SC menu, head over to File, Save As. Let's give this workspace a name. Hit Save. We've now saved our workspace. When we close and exit Seer chart and open this chartbook again, the layout will remain exactly the same. Let's jump in to the graphics settings to change the appearance of our graphs. By default, these are all using the parameters found in the global graphics settings. To find those, head on over to the SC menu, Global Settings, Graphics Settings Global. There are three main menus in this window: the colors and widths, the fonts, and other settings. All three charts in this workspace are stylized within this window. Let's go ahead and change the chart background. Click to select it, choose a color, hit OK. We can see we just changed the default background for charts in Seer chart. Both of these charts are using global graphics settings. However, we can individually stylize charts by unchecking global graphics settings. To do so, click to select the chart that you want to change. Head on over to the SC menu, hit Chart. Graphics Settings Chart. By default, the Use Global Graphics Settings instead of these settings is checked. That means that this chart is using the global graphics settings. Uncheck this. Now, any changes we make will only be applied to this chart. Let's go ahead and change the background again. Hit OK. Now we have one chart that's using global graphic settings, and one chart that's using its individual settings. Now that you know how to change the color and stylize all graphs in Sierra Chart, let's move on to tools. To demonstrate how tools work in Sierra Chart, I'm going to go up to the right-hand side of the window and hit Maximize. Let's add some drawings to this chart. One of the most common tools is simply a line. On the SC menu, head over to Tools and select Line. Alternatively, some of the default drawings can be found in the control bar above. I'm going to go ahead and left-click on the graph. And I click again. And now I've added a line to the chart. Let's head back over to the SC menu, hit Tools, and we can use a different tool. Let's try extending rectangle to make a zone. Click once. Click again. We've now added an extended rectangle to this chart. If you wanted to change the style of this drawing, right-click the edge. Chart Drawing Properties. There are various settings and color changes I can make in the Options menu. Let's change the color of this zone to teal. Hit OK. OK again. A couple of the other interesting tools include a risk-reward tool. Let's head on over to Tools again. Reward Risk. The first click is the stop loss. The next click is the entry. And the third click is the target. We now have a measurement of our trade. Entry, stop, target. And it shows the risk reward right here. Another neat tool is the Draw Volume Profile tool. Head on over to Tools again. Hit Draw Volume Profile. Now let's select an area to draw a volume profile. Click once, select an area, click again. We can now see the volume profile for this period that we selected. There are various other interesting tools that can be applied to most graphs. It's getting a little messy. Let's go ahead and erase all these drawings. On the SC menu, hit Tools, head on over to Erase All Non-Text Drawings. Yes. The volume profiles must be deleted separately. Head on over to Tools again. Erase all drawn volume profiles. It's best practices to delete unused chart drawings from all your graphs. Right now, these three charts are in the main window of Sierra Chart. However, many traders use multiple monitors. Let's get one of these charts to a different monitor. To do so, we're going to detach it from the workspace. Click to select the chart that we want to detach. Head on over to the SC menu and hit Window. Head down to Detach Chart Window. Now, this chart can be dragged freely to a different monitor. Now that that chart is on a different monitor, let's head back to the main workspace and explore some of the key settings for charts. To open settings for a chart, we're going to click anywhere in the chart to select it, then head on over to the SE menu, Chart, Chart Settings. You can also hit the F5 key to open up this window. There are a number of menus available in the settings for each chart. All charts have a chart settings window. Click any chart to select it. On the SE menu, click Chart, and then Chart Settings. The first menu at the top of the window is Symbol. The first setting is how we change the symbol. Click, then hit Select. Scroll down to find the correct contract. Click plus to expand, and select the contract month. Click OK. In order to chart one symbol but trade another, such as charting the E-mini but trading the micro, I'll go ahead and click Trade and Quote Current Symbol. Click Select, and I'll choose the micro. To make sure the trades execute on the micro but the chart displays the E-mini, Use as Trade Only symbol has to be set to Yes. I'm going to change Automatically Rollover Future symbol to Yes so that I don't have to change it myself. For automatic rollover, let's choose a continuous contract. Click the list to expand. I'm going to go with volume-based rollover. We can see the tick size and price display format. I'm going to set Auto Set from Data Feed to Yes. I'm going to switch over to the Data Limiting menu. And here, we can change how many days this chart loads. Keep this as low as possible. At the top of the window, switch to Bar Period. This is how we change the bar period and graph draw type. This is currently a 1-minute chart. In the value field of bar period type, click to expand the list. Range bar, Renko, volume bar, all sorts of different bar period types. I'm going to stick with days, minutes, seconds. 0 would be where days goes. 1 is minutes, 0 is seconds. This is a 1-minute chart. I'll change it to 5-minute. Under Gap Fill, we can fill bar gaps so that when prices skip, the candlestick appears cleaner. The graph draw type is currently set to OHLC bars, but we can change this to candlestick among other draw types. At the top of the menu, I'm going to switch to session times. Here, we can establish the session time for this chart. You'll notice that if the session time ends at 1600 hours, I'm going to end it 1 second before, and to display the evening session, write 1600. I'm not going to write 1600 twice, as that can cause an issue. I'm going to load all weekend data. I'm going to switch to the display menu at the top. Here, the chart update interval is how often this chart is refreshing data. A low setting, such as between 50 and 100, can be used for trigger execution charts sparingly. It's recommended to use a higher number where possible. I'll keep this at 400. I could give this chart a name that could be displayed at the top. And change this to Yes. We can see the name right here. At the top of the menu, I'm going to click Trading. Take a look through some of these settings. If I scroll down, I could change the profit loss format from points to currency. Click Apply. At the top of the window, click Linking. Sierra Chart has a linking feature where you can connect 2 or more charts together. For example, if I set link number to 1 and symbol to Yes, any charts that have a link number 1 and symbol Yes, when I change the symbol, both charts will change. At the top of the window, I'm going to change the menu to Market Depth. I'm going to change this to only load a maximum of 2 days of market depth data. I'm also going to limit how many market depth levels are loaded on this chart. From 0, which is all, I'll change this to 8 levels. This is a performance decision. At the top of the window, click Performance. Here, we can see real-time the performance of this chart. If your chart feels slow because you've overloaded it or have an incorrectly set up study, check this menu. I'm going to click OK to confirm the rest of these settings. By default, the last candlestick on the chart is typically right against the price axis. This can be changed. On the SE menu, click Tools and select Hand. Click and drag the chart to the left side to create a right side margin. To lock this margin, on the SE menu, click Chart and Lock Fill Space. Let's jump into the Studies module. Studies. A study is a graph of results from a formula, or as many others call them, indicators. Some studies contain one or more number values. These are called subgraphs. Study identification. This is an important part of working with studies in Sierra Chart. A study is a graph of results from a formula known as an indicator. A subgraph is a specific value within the study. Some studies have one value, whereas others have multiple. An example would be Bollinger Bands have multiple subgraphs because the study displays an upper band, a mean, and lower band. The first study added to a graph chart will be ID1. Each new study will have a unique ID, ID2, ID3, etc. So ID1.SG1 is equal to the current bar, study 1, subgraph 1. The ID portion is how we identify the study. SG, or subgraph, is the specific value of the study. ID1 means the study's identification is 1. SG1 is the identifier for which subgraph we're talking about. It's important to note when working with these identifiers, there are different formats for different uses. This example is how we would identify a study to color a background based on a study. For example, if we wanted to use one of the studies that colors the background on a condition, we would reference the study using this format. But keep in mind, in the case of spreadsheets, there is a slightly different method. This example of ID1.SG1 is the most common format in formulas and studies. Referencing a study as ID1.SG1 will work in most cases. When it comes to using Sierra Chart's native studies and using formulas, ID1.SG1 is the most common format for study identification. However, for spreadsheets, it's slightly different. To reference the current bar in a spreadsheet, we'd actually have to specify @3 for the third row of the spreadsheet, which is actually the current bar. To reference the previous bar, we would do @4. The only difference when doing this in a spreadsheet instead of a normal formula, we have to add @3 to specify the current bar. If we change this to @4, that would reference the previous bar in a spreadsheet. But if you wanted to reference the previous bar using a normal formula outside of a spreadsheet, we would simply bracket -1 to indicate the previous bar. Sierra Chart comes with a huge list of studies, and each study is thoroughly documented. Let's start by adding a study to a chart. You can press F6 or head to the SC menu, Analysis, and click Studies. This is the Chart Studies window. We can add studies to a chart, we can duplicate them, remove them, hide them, and save them. The studies available can be found on this list. Also, If you head down to Add Custom Study, there's an additional list of studies. Let's begin by adding our first study. I'm going to click Moving Average Simple, and then click Add. With the study still selected, I'm going to click Settings. Let's explore the Study Settings window for Moving Average. Other studies will look similar. The based on is simply what this study is evaluating. It's possible to base studies on other studies. For example, this moving average is currently based on the main price graph, or the price, whereas we could change this to another study and add a moving average to another study. We can also give our study a short name. This is helpful for organization. Chart region 1 is the main price graph. If we change this to 2 and click Apply, the study is sent below the main price graph. This way, you can have the main price graph at the top in chart region 1, and additional studies can be below. You can have multiple studies in the same region, and there's a lot of flexibility with this. The value format can be changed. I typically use inherited. The ID of this study is currently set to 1. We can also hide the study. We can also draw it underneath the main price graph. And we can also change all the inputs available. Let's go ahead and change one of the inputs. I'll click Length 10, and I'm going to change this to 20. Click Apply. That's now a 20 moving average. Here, you can click Description to pull up a web browser for documentation on that specific study. Now that we've done some settings, let's go over to the Subgraphs tab. Here, we can customize the look and feel of the study. For example, if I click Color, we'll change the color from green to yellow. Hit OK. Apply. To change how the study is drawn on the chart, click the Draw Style drop-down list. Here, there's a wide list of options on how to style the subgraph. I'm going to switch from line to dash. I'm also going to change the width so it's a little bit thicker, but do not exceed 2 if possible for performance. I'll head to the SC menu, Analysis, and click Studies again. Let's add a volume profile. It's called Volume by Price. I'll click that and then click Add. Next, I'm going to add VWAP. I'll click Volume Weighted Average Price, Volume Weighted Average Price, then click Add. Now we can see there's a volume profile, VWAP, and a moving average. Some other useful studies include the arithmetic studies under Study Subgraphs in the list of studies available. A very common thing to do is to overlay a study from one chart to another chart. Let's do that. To keep the example simple, I'm going to overlay a study from the chart on the right to the chart on the left. I'll click the chart on the left, then go to the SC menu, Analysis, and hit Studies. I'm going to find Study Price Overlay. Click Add. Then click Settings. Here, I have to pick the study to overlay. We can see at the top of the chart on the right, there's a number 2, indicating that is chart number 2. In the Input Value section of Study to Overlay, I'm going to click that, and I'm going to select chart 2. Then I'm going to select the study that I want to overlay. Let's overlay volume weighted average price. Click Apply. We can see it was added to chart region 2 below the main price graph. Let's move it back to 1 by clicking Chart Region drop-down list. Change it to 1. Click OK. Now we've overlaid the study to our second chart. Let's put together a footprint chart. I'll head back to the SE menu, click Analysis, Studies. I'm going to find the study called Numbers Bars. Click it, then click Add. Apply. I'd like to change the footprint to show different values. I'll click Numbers Bars and click Settings. Currently, it's based on volume. Let's stay focused on column 1 as the main area to customize. Instead of volume, I'm going to change this to bid and ask volume. I'm going to change full background to a profile style, volume profile. Then I'm going to change the background coloring method to be the more dominant side. Click Apply. You notice I can't really see much, so I'm going to go ahead and click and drag the bottom time scale. That's better. Let's go ahead and add a condition-based alert to the chart. Then we'll do a price cross-based alert. I'm going to color the background when the volume of a bar exceeds a threshold. I'll go ahead to the bottom and find volume, click Add. Then I'm going to find the study color background based on alert condition. I'll click that and add it. I'll select color background based on alert condition, click Settings, and I'll switch over to the Alerts tab in the Study Settings window. Let's simply color the background when the volume is above 500. We can see over in the Chart Studies window that volume is ID2. To begin the formula, hit equals. Volume study is simply ID2 dot. We're going to do SG1 as there's only one subgraph in the volume study, which is volume. If I wanted to reference the previous bar, I would bracket -1. Is greater than 500. It's okay to use spaces. The most important checkbox is enabled. We can see that the alert is enabled with this check mark. There are some other settings for the alert as well. I'm going to choose Alert 1 as the sound. Click Apply. Let's head over to the Subgraphs tab. I'm going to change the color of the background to purple. Click OK, OK again. Here we can see the background is colored on the bar that meets the criteria. To keep track of the alerts, click the SC menu window, then click Alert Manager. All future alerts will pop up in this window. We can also set a price-based alert. I'll go to SE menu, Tools, and I'll click Horizontal Line. I'll choose a location on the chart to set the alert. I've now added the line. I'll right-click the line and click Alerts. I'll enable the alert. I'll change the evaluation to entire bar. And we'll simply do crossing. Only trigger once is checkmarked. And I'll choose Alert Sound 1. Press OK. We can now see the alert has been triggered in the Alert Manager window. Let's say I customize some studies to my liking and I want to add them to a different chart, but I don't want to have to do those settings again. On the SC menu, click Analysis and Studies. We're going to save these studies as a study collection so they can easily be added to different charts and sent to other Sierra Chart users. I'll go ahead and give it a name. I'll go ahead and check Prompt to remove existing studies so I can add these without removing existing studies. You can choose between saving a single study or saving all. I'm going to save these all as a group so I can easily add them to a new chart. I went ahead and added a new chart. On the SC menu, I'll click Analysis, and we can see that my study group is ready to be applied. Let's run through a quick arithmetic example. I'll head to SC menu, click Studies, and I'll click Study Subgraphs Add, and then click Add. Settings. Here, we can pick two studies to add together to get the result. I'm going to add volume weighted average price to the top band. And I'm going to display this in chart region 2 so it's below the main price graph. I'll click OK. We can see that the arithmetic is being applied to ID3, our VWAP study. Sierra Chart has its very own C++ based language used in Sierra Chart custom studies. It's called ACSIL, Axel. While this won't be an in-depth Axel tutorial, let's go over some basics. If we head on over to the Sierra Chart folder and open ACS source, we can see there are some example studies. This is a great way to become familiar with the language. Custom studies are text files saved with a CPP extension. While I'm still in the ACS source folder, I'll simply right-click and click New Text Document. I'm going to name it test.cpp. It's important that the file extension is .cpp. After the custom study has been written and the top fits this format, I'll go ahead and save. Let's head back over to Sierra Chart and compile the study. On the SC menu, click Analysis, then click Build Custom Studies DLL. Let's compile the file by clicking Select Files. I'll choose the file I just saved and click Open. Then, at the top of the window, click Build, remote build. Our first build is successful. I'll exit the window. And now, to add the study, we'll simply head to the SE menu, Analysis, click Studies, click Add Custom Study. We can see our study has successfully been added. I'll go ahead and select it and click Add. The custom study has been added. In this module, we're going to dive into trading execution. I'm going to go over the main features relating to order entry and modification, as well as settings. Before we begin trading, I'm going to make sure I'm in a simulated account and that my trading is unlocked. On the SE menu, click Trade and ensure that Trade Simulation Mode is checked. Trading is locked, meaning Sierra Chart will reject any orders I try to send to the market. I'm going to go ahead and uncheck this. For this tutorial, I'm going to execute trades on a trading DOM. It's possible to send orders using automated methods and other studies, but I'm going to use the trading DOM. I'm going to start by removing all order confirmations. If I try to send an order to the market, I'm presented with a confirmation. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off globally. On the SC menu, go to Global Settings, Chart Trade Settings. At the top of the window, I'm going to make sure that I'm in the General menu. And at the very bottom, we can see Disable Order Confirmations Global. I'm going to change this to Yes. Apply. While you're here, take a look at some of the other settings. For example, if I wanted to remove the functionality of the flatten button on the trade order window, I could simply click No. In the chart trade settings window, the working orders menu gives you multiple settings for the working orders, such as if we wanted to enable the estimated queue position. In the order fills menu, you'll see that display fill text is set to yes by default. 99% of people I know set this to no so that there isn't text above your order execution markers. Take a look at the chart at the fill marker for a buy position. It shows this text here. I'm going to set this to no to hide that text. Click OK. Now go back to the SC menu, Global Settings, and click General Trade Settings. I recommend you take a look through every menu in this window and adjust to your preferences. For example, if your order routing supports server-side orders, you'd want to make sure this is set to yes if that's your preference. If you've made any changes, click OK. On the SC menu, click Global Settings and hit Chart DOM Settings if you plan on using your DOM. Here, we can change the order types based on where we click on the trading DOM. At the top, there's an Other menu. There's additional settings here. Click OK once you've made any changes. On the SC menu, I'm going to click Global Settings, Global Profit Loss Management. While this is a feature still offered from Sierra Chart, the documentation specifically states that it's not reliable for liquidating positions. So I personally do not use this whatsoever. When it comes to the risk management side of execution, the Teton order routing provides far more reliable and robust risk system. I'm going to go ahead and exit this. We're just about ready to execute. If you click your trading DOM, you might not have this trade order window attached. To do so, click anywhere on the DOM. On the SC menu, click Trade. Attach Trade Window to Chart is checkmarked. You'll notice that I also have Chart Trade Mode on, Show Orders and Position checked. This needs to be done on a chart-by-chart basis. The fill markers are Show Order Fills checked. This section with the buttons and drop-down lists is called the trade window. There are a number of buttons to execute trades and flatten your position. We can see the position is flat, the P&L and the daily profit loss are both 0. The account is currently SIM. Other accounts would be listed on the drop-down list. We can also see the order quantity buttons right here. I'm going to set mine to 3. Then, while we are going to primarily use the trading DOM to execute trades, we'll also use the trade window to set up our first OCO order. At the top of the trade window, there's a drop-down list. I'm going to click this list and we're going to start with simple bracket. To submit a bracket, you'll actually need to click Use Attached Orders and make sure this is checked. At the top of the trade window, we can see a green status color indicating that our target and stops match in quantity. If this is red, the order will not submit. Let's go ahead and set up the bracket. I'm going to switch to the targets menu. Here we can see there's a target of 8 ticks and a stop loss of 8 ticks. I'm going to change this by clicking the target. We can see the offset type is ticks, the most common for futures. The type is a limit order, but there's a wide list of order types that can be used as a target. The limit offset can remain a positive number regardless if you're long or short. Meaning, if you're long, the target will be 8 ticks above your entry, whereas if you're short, the target will be 8 ticks below your entry. Here, we can see the OCO group is 1. We're only going to do 1 target and 1 stop, but you can have multiple groups within your OCO order. I'm going to click Stop, and I'm going to decrease this to 4 ticks stop loss. You can also change the time in force for when you want the order to cancel if it does not fill first. If I switch over to the Set tab of the trade window, there's a few additional settings. All of these settings are thoroughly covered in the documentation. We can also change the order quantity button amounts if we wanted to increase or decrease the quantities. Now, head back to the main tab of the trade window. There's a little M here, and that opens up the menu. You can see a number of key settings enabled or disabled from this menu. Right now, if I enter a long position, wait, and enter at a different price, I'll actually have 2 separate stop losses. I prefer to have 1 stop loss where the order quantity adjusts based on my position automatically. To do so, I'll hover Orders and checkmark Support Scale In and Scale Out. I'll also check Maintain Same Quantity for OCO group orders, but this is preference. Also, at the very bottom, I'm going to check Cancel Orders on Flat Position. This way, once I've flattened a position, any orders resting will be automatically canceled. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to click Save Confirmation. I'm going to change the name from Simple Bracket to 4 tick to remind me there's a 4 tick stop. The extension must be TW-config as seen here. Click Save. On the top drop-down list, we can now select our newly saved trade config, 4 tick. I double-checked that Use Attached Orders is checkmarked. We're now ready to execute trades in Sierra Chart. In the Buy column, I'll go ahead and submit a buy order below the inside market. We are now waiting for this buy limit to fill. You can easily hover your mouse over any order, click, hold, and drag it anywhere you'd like. If I wanted to cancel the orders, simply hit the X or click Cancel All on the trade window. To get in immediately, I'm actually going to click the Buy Market button on the trade window. Now I'm long one contract with a 4-tick stop and a target. I'm going to go ahead and drag my order to a closer price. Filled. To keep tabs on working orders and positions, on the SC menu, I'll click Trade, and I'll click both the Trade Orders window and Trade Positions window. We can see our previous orders. Any positions will be displayed in the Trade Positions window. One of the great features of Sierra Chart is using keyboard shortcuts known as hotkeys to execute trades and different functions quickly. Let's enable a quick hotkey so we can buy using our keyboard. On the SE menu, click Global Settings. Head down to Customize Keyboard Shortcuts. There's a number of shortcuts we can add. Let's go ahead and find Buy Market. Under Trading Keyboard Shortcuts, we have Buy Market. Click it. We can see it's selected. To buy market, we're going to have to press Control. So I'll check Control and I'll choose numpad 1, but you can pick any key from your keyboard. I'm going to click Assign. It's been assigned. Now, if I press OK, we've set up the hotkey, but we need to enable it on the chart first. Click the chart you'd like to use hotkeys on. Then on the SC menu, click Trade. I'm going to first click Chart Trade Mode On. It's checked. Go back again to Trade on the SC menu and find Trading Keyboard Shortcuts Enabled. Check this. Now, when I press Control numpad 1, I just bought market. I could quickly hit Flatten to flatten the position on the trade window. Now that I've completed my trading day, I need to go ahead and journal my results. To do so, on the SC menu, I'm going to click Trade. I'll head down to Trade Activity Log. The first thing I'm going to do is populate this table with some trades by hitting Display Settings. Because those trades were in Sim, I'm going to switch non-simulated to simulated. Click Apply, A. I'm going to click Set to today's date, but you can specify a range right here. I would like to see the profit loss of these trades using currency, but you can also select ticks and other settings. Go ahead and press OK. I'm going to make this window a little bigger. At the top, we can see Trade Activity. This shows all activity, orders, and everything. I'm going to switch to Statistics. There are a number of menu options in this window. I'll start with the Quick menu, and I'll hover Trade Activity Type and change this from orders to fills. Now, click the Statistics menu, and you'll see various statistics on the trades. Now I'll click the Trades menu. This is what I'm going to export for journaling. The simplest way is clicking Edit, Copy All, and now this is copied to your clipboard and can be pasted into Excel or somewhere else. To save this as a file, what we'll do is click File, Save Log As. I'm going to keep the name as tradeslist.txt. Click Save. I'll just quickly open up my Windows File Explorer and open up Sierra Chart. In the Sierra Chart folder, there's another folder called Saved Trade Activity. Double-click that and open it. Here, we can see our newly saved list containing our trades. Now that we set up our execution, executed some trades, and exported the results, it's time to run some replay and run some test trades during replay. I'll click the chart I want to replay. On the SC menu, click Chart and head down to Replay Chart and hover your mouse. Then click Replay Chart. This brings up a new window. Let's set it up quickly. Charts to replay, we're going to set this to all charts in the chart book, but you can also replay individual charts. I'm going to go ahead and keep replay mode as standard replay, as this is a simple example, but for more comprehensive backtesting, these other settings are often used and they're thoroughly documented on. I'm going to pick a data replay by checking use start date time. I'll specify the date and then I'll specify a time. The jump method is equivalent to a fast forward. You can select time 5-minute increment, and when you click these arrows, you'll jump ahead or behind by 5 minutes. I'm going to keep the speed on 1 to simulate real time, but you can set this to a higher number. If your chartbook has multiple charts, particularly on different time frames, it's important to check start paused. The reason is because when you press play, some charts that are more demanding might take a little bit longer and start at a different time. We're now ready to replay. Press play. There's no need to clear my simulated trading history, so I'll set this to do not clear. Click OK. We've started paused, so I'm going to go ahead and press play. I could go ahead and turn up the speed to 30. And just the way we buy real time, I could buy market to start executing some trades. Not so lucky this time. I'm going to stop the replay by pressing stop. While this feature is very useful, we can expect that simulated results in a backtesting environment will mimic real results. I'm going to demonstrate a quick example of auto trading a signal in Sierra Chart. On the control bar, I'm going to click Find Symbol. I'm going to choose ES and expand it, March, open intraday chart. On the SC menu, I'll click Analysis, then click Studies. I'm going to start by adding a Donchian channel. Click Donchian channel, then click Add. Then I'll scroll down to Spreadsheet System for Trading. I'll click that and then click Add. With Spreadsheet System selected, I'm going to click Settings. At the bottom left of the window, under Spreadsheet Name, I'm going to give the spreadsheet a name. You can go through these settings and explore the documentation to further understand what each of these means. When you're testing, scroll down to the setting Send Orders to Trade Service and make sure this is set to No. If this is set to Yes, and you're using your live account and trading is unlocked, the auto trader will begin taking trades live, so make sure you test in Sim first. I recommend you thoroughly read through the documentation before using auto trader. I'll click OK, click OK again. Now, on the SC menu, click Trade. I'm going to ensure the chart trade mode is on. Click Trade once again on the SC menu and ensure that auto trading is enabled. I'll enable it globally, but you can select chart. I'll make sure that trade simulation mode on is checked and trading locked is unchecked. So we're unlocked. At the bottom, you should see your spreadsheet listed below. You may have to minimize your chart and it may be behind the window. Let's open the spreadsheet. The J column contains multiple read and write values for auto trading. We're going to keep this very simple and just create a buy-only algo. So I can work with both of these charts. I'm going to click the SC menu, Window, and click Tile vertically. The third row of this spreadsheet is the current or last bar. The fourth row is the previous bar. The J column contains various read and write values that we can use in auto trading. This will be a buy-only algo, and the logic will be in the K3 cell of the K column. The signal will buy anytime price is above the Donchian high channel. Back on our main chart, I'm going to go to the SC menu, click Studies. If I click Donchian channel and click Settings, and I switch to the subgraphs menu, we can see that the high channel is SG1. So Donchian channel is ID1 and the channel high is SG1. Remember this. Back in the spreadsheet, I'm going to create the buy signal. The last price of the current bar can be found under IDO.SG4, the third row. This formula is stating that the last price, IDO.SG4, and @3 represents the last bar, is greater than ID1.SG1. which is the Donchian channel high, at 3, which indicates the last bar. We can see it's either a 0 value or a 1. When this turns from a 0 to a 1, the auto trader will buy. Click the main chart, and on the SE menu, click Trade. Going to attach the trade window to this chart. The auto trader will use whichever trade window config is selected. Let's select Simple Bracket. I'm going to make sure that Use Attached Orders is checkmarked. The algo has taken a signal as the last price went above the Donchian channel high. I'm just going to press Flatten to flatten and exit the position. The trade can be found in the Trade Activity Log. On the SC menu, click Trade and bring up the Trade Activity Log. This is discussed further in a different part of the tutorial. In this module, we'll go through other important techniques and features in Sierra Chart to wrap up this tutorial. I'd like to talk about performance. Sierra Chart is a very efficient platform and is known for being extremely fast. It's absolutely possible for a trader to overload charts and degrade the performance. For example, the less bars you have visible on any given time, the faster the performance. Generally, you can have one or more chart books open at once containing multiple charts and DOMs, studies, and drawing tools, and Sierra Chart will run very efficiently. Let's go over a few of the ways to ensure we're keeping that performance the best it can be. For example, the less bars visible, the better the chart performance. This, zoomed in, is going to be more efficient than showing absolutely every candle in this chart. You'll also notice there's a lack of excess trading drawings. If I was to add too many tools and zones and markers, it would slow down the chart. For example, if we open the settings for any study and switch to the subgraphs menu, we can see draw style. If we set too many lines very wide, you're going to degrade performance. Keeping it at 2 or less is best. Also, in the draw style and in general, avoid excessive use of transparent fills. Also, every chart in the workspace should have the least amount of days possible. While you can load many days and it will run just fine, performance-wise, it's better to keep that number as low as possible. I'll click the chart. On the SC menu, click Chart, Chart Settings, Data Limiting menu. I'll change this from 30 to 4 since I don't need that many days for this particular chart. Also, if I head on over to the display menu of the same window, we can see that the chart update interval is 0, our global setting. Some trading DOMs and execution charts might be set to a very low number, such as 50 or 100. This chart does not need such a low number. Let's use 400 milliseconds. Do that for every chart in your workspace. Something to keep in mind is that some studies in Sierra Chart have a number of bars to calculate setting or something similar. This means we can load 1 bar or 1,000 bars or more. This impacts performance. The less bars it load, generally the faster the performance. For example, if I open color bar based on alert condition, we can see that this is set to 200. If I set this to 20,000, the performance will be slightly decreased. The performance of every study can be evaluated by looking at the milliseconds in the study window. Numbers greater than 100 can start to feel noticeably slower. Most traders will have all their needs covered by simply having one copy of Sierra Chart running and one or more chartbooks open. However, there are a number of reasons to explore distributing that processing load across multiple cores by using instances or copies of Sierra Chart. An instance is equivalent to a separate session of Sierra Chart running alongside your existing copy. Before even exploring this, read the documentation on multiple instances from the Sierra Chart website. Sierra Chart has a nice tutorial on setting up instances. It's very simple to set up a new instance of Sierra Chart. On the SE menu, head to File and click New Instance. On the bottom taskbar, I can see there's now a second Sierra Chart icon. If I once again open the File Explorer in Windows and head on over to the Sierra Chart folder, you'll notice there's now Sierra Chart Instance 2. This is where everything's located. It has its own separate data folder. Now it's easier to have one instance on your main monitor and the other instance on a different monitor. Some traders might opt to actually have a second copy of Sierra Chart rather than an instance. To do so, you'd go back to the first steps in the tutorial and download another copy of Sierra Chart, but simply naming it Sierra Chart 2 instead of Sierra Chart. There are limitations to how many copies of Sierra Chart you can have, but you can have many instances. Another important thing to remember about Sierra Chart is that it has regular updates to the software. On the SE menu, you'll find Help, and here you can click Download Current Version to get the latest Sierra Chart. Now, the Sierra Chart installer window has been brought up. You can select Current Version. You can also specify a previous version by punching in the numbers here. Then hitting Install. One of the simple but important changes I like to make to Sierra Chart is having a freehand mouse when we click and drag around a chart. Right now, if I click and drag, it doesn't do anything. To make this change, on the SE menu, head to Global Settings. Click Tool Settings. I'm in the General menu of the Tool Settings window. The first setting, after single tool use, change to, I'll click it and select Hand. Next, I'm going to go down to Support Vertical Scaling Movement with Hand tool and change this from No to Yes. Now, if I head up to the SE menu, Tools, and click Hand, we can see that I can click and drag the chart and freely move it. Another important customization is the control bar. On the control bar, there are a number of buttons, but personally, I don't use most of these, so I'm going to change them to more meaningful buttons. I'll just go ahead and right-click on the control bar and click Customize Control Bar 1. Here, we can add more commands from the available control bar's commands window. For example, I'll head down to Tools, and I'm going to click Retracement Tool, click Add. Now, for the buttons I don't think I'll use, I'm going to click them and click Remove. I'm going to go ahead and press OK. From time to time, you may run into some issues. When it comes to questions and issues, I find it's usually a disconnect between what the person wants to do versus a setting, rather than an actual issue with the software. Most issues people have faced have already been posted about. It's going to be rare for you to experience something that no one else has. So chances are, if you're facing an issue, someone else has had it and talked about it and possibly solved it. Sierra Chart does have a support board that contains many posts relating to Sierra Chart. Also, you can open a support ticket. From the Sierra Chart website, if you hover Support, you'll see the support board as well as various other options. You can also open a support ticket, but make sure you've exhausted all other options first. Despite using the software for years, I find myself constantly Googling things because I can't remember everything. Google does a great job of connecting keywords to the right Sierra chart post. If I run into an issue, the first thing I do is go to Google and type Sierra chart, and then I'll type my issue or something I don't know how to do. I keep it short and precise, and sometimes I try different combinations. What I'll often do is I'll just right-click the links and I'll just open them in new tabs, and then I'll go through them. Chances are, one of the first ones covers my answer. If I can't find it from Google, I'll often refer back to the documentation. Once you've exhausted other options through Googling and searching around the documentation, you can make a post in the support board by clicking How to Post a Message for Support, and you'll be instructed to do that. One of the ways to troubleshoot an issue would be to open the message log. On the SE menu, click Window, Message Log. Some issues may show up in the message log. This is helpful for diagnosis. That concludes the tutorial. I hope you found it useful and that it saves you time in getting set up and operating Sierra Chart with comfort. Good luck with your trading and take care.